Whether you're a hardcore Ben 10 fan or just furious at me for challenging your own favorite hero, this video will break down why Ben Tennyson is one of the most powerful characters in fiction ever. I'm Kuro the Artist, and I'm going to show you why Ben can beat Superman, Goku, and pretty much anybody he faces. Spawning 4 series and movies of heavy continuity, Ben 10 is easily Cartoon Network's most fleshed out character. While I will mainly focus on Superman and Goku in this video, as they are obviously the most popular and widely accepted standards of fan-made versus battles, I'm gonna start from Ben's most basic abilities, and make my way up to his most powerful ones in the end, just to get an all-around feel for the character for those unfamiliar with his real potential. To emphasize, I'm gonna show you how Ben can beat the most basic street-level characters and then work my way up to the top tier. So stick around, you'd be surprised what this kid can do. Ben Tennyson is equipped with the Omnitrix, a level 20 tech device built by first thinker Azimuth of the Galvan. This device allows Ben to transform into various alien creatures from across 2 galaxies that we know of, and utilize their abilities to, save the world. By the end of the series, the Omnitrix contained 1,912 aliens. 99 have been unlocked, 71 named, and 61 Ben has been shown transforming into on screen. Ben has been in possession of 3 different Omnitrix devices across the 4 shows. The original Omnitrix, which had a 10-minute time limit to his transformations, and also caused Ben to transform into the wrong alien multiple times, which then recalibrated after 5 years, fixing all of those problems. Until he and Kevin tried to hack the Omnitrix and broke it again. Good going, guys. Unfortunately, Ben sacrificed that Omnitrix to prevent Vilgax from using it to power his Bioid army. Having no choice, Albedo gave Ben the Ultimatrix, which functions similar to the original Omnitrix but now includes an evolution feature. According to the late Dwayne McDuffie, the evolution feature worked by placing the selected species in a simulation, right down to the DNA for an extended period of time, about 1 million years or so, in what is described as the worst case scenario. The actual DNA is then simply modified to match the new DNA. This survival of the fittest routine explains why the evolutions are more combat-centered than their normal forms. So basically, if you threw an alien into a non-stop war zone for about 1 million years, this is what it would evolve into to survive. However, at the end of Ultimate Alien, Azimuth deemed Ben worthy of the official Omnitrix, which he had been working on since Ben found the prototype 6 years ago. But let's take a look at some of the actual alien transformations. More often than not, Ben's aliens all share the same characteristic of giving Ben some form of enhanced strength. Spider Monkey and Kickenhawk have been shown to be excellent choices for one-on-one combat. Ripjaw's teeth and jaw are strong enough to tear through even the toughest of metals. And of course, there's Forearms. Ben's Tetraman form is strong enough to not only catch 4 missiles out of the air and clench onto them as they continue to move, but change the direction of them simply by turning his wrists. He can also smack his hands together to create a powerful sonic wave that could push back basically anything in his path. Humongosaur is even a step up from that. According to Eugene Sun, in Humongosaur's base form, he is strong enough to lift up a Tokustar, which averages about 120 feet tall and weighs between 55,000 and 74,000 pounds. Humongosaur can then sextuple in size, multiplying his strength by 6, making his maximum recorded strength about 444,000 pounds. Then of course, there's Waybig, an actual Tokustar, who I don't really feel like needs an explanation for his strength. The first alien that comes to mind whenever speed is mentioned is XLR8, one of the original 10 aliens in Ben's arsenal. At age 10, Ben's Kineseleran form can clock up to 500 miles per hour, about 65% of the speed of sound. It is unconfirmed just how fast XLR8 gets as Ben ages, but it was hinted that Ben is able to travel globally within seconds by age 30. Another speed alien Ben has is Fast Track, but I'm gonna skip over his specs as he has already been confirmed to be slower than XLR8. But to top that, Ben would have to transform into Jet Ray. His Aerophibian form is versatile in both air and water. In the Ultimate Alien episode Eye of the Beholder, Ben was able to travel across the galaxy at hyperspeed and stick a perfect landing. He is also able to breathe in space, which, Goku can. Jet Ray has also been stated to be even faster when he's underwater, but his maximum speed has not been shown. This leaves Clockwork, Ben's Chrono Sapien form, who can slow down time to a complete halt, yet move through any terrain with ease. Hunter Zolomon, aka Zoom, one of the Flash's greatest threats, also had the ability to slow down time rather than just run at super speed. With that power, the Flash has stated that even at his fastest, Zoom was still a blur. So you can imagine what the Flash might feel about seeing an entire planet of aliens doing the very same thing. While not quite on his cousin Gwendolyn's level, Ben is also an incredibly skilled fighter, with and without the Omnitrix. Even in an alternate universe where Ben never even found the Omnitrix nor heard of aliens existing, he still had some pretty good moves. He is skilled in numerous fighting styles for hand-to-hand combat, from training with his cousin, the Plumber Academy, and just copying what he's seen off of video games. He has also been shown to use both close-range and long-range weapons. When you throw the Omnitrix back into the mix, Ben can be extremely creative and adaptive with his transformations. When Kevin Levin, former enemy and now best friend of Ben, absorbed the first 10 transformations from 10-year-old Ben's Omnitrix, Ben taught Kevin how to combine his alien's abilities to create unique and powerful attacks.
Accelerate speed plus forearm strength plus diamond head invulnerability equals
one mean punch!
I guess after 6 years though, the lessons didn't stick.
Doofus, you've got the powers of a ghost. Come in already.
At the end of Season 2 of the classic series, Back with a Vengeance, Ben has temporary access to the Master Control, allowing Ben to switch between alien form at will without having to turn human first, and no time limit for his transformations. And just look how effortlessly versatile this 10-year-old is, executing a multitude of evasive and offensive moves while constantly changing form every few seconds. While scenes like this are very visually stunning, think about how much cognitive dexterity you would need to pull this off. At the time, Ben had 12 transformations, so his decision making for exactly which form to change into and what to do with it as the events are happening are incredibly impressive. Years later, he has only gotten better, and can now change form mid-battle whenever he wants without the Master Control. However, now his transformation time limit is based on how much energy the Omnitrix has, instead of an exact time frame. So depending on how Ben uses the Omnitrix, transformations can last anywhere from a few hours to just a couple of brief seconds. But Ben also has the option to turn on the Lifeform Lock, which genetically locks Ben into a single transformation with no chance of a timeout, should the situation call for it. No segue needed, I'm just gonna jump right in. Toddler Pyronites, or baby heat blasts, can reach supernova temperatures whenever they have a tantrum, so an adult Pyronite can speak for itself. There's also NRG, whose body emits a constant radiation so harmful to most species that he has to stay in a full-body cage whenever he's off his home planet. Atomics can execute and manipulate an unknown powerful nuclear energy and is easily one of Ben's strongest transformations. Ben usually refrains from this form unless absolutely necessary due to its destructive nature. Moving back to previously mentioned aliens, Waybig can emit powerful cosmic beams when he crosses his arms that are strong enough to damage Dagon, a multi-dimensional being made of living energy. Waybig's cosmic beams can hurt living energy. There's Clockwork, who can fire time rays, which basically rapidly age whatever it targets into dust, instantly killing them. Now, even if all of that is not enough to convince you that there's more to this Omnitrix bearer than meets the eye, there's one final transformation that basically takes the cake, and that of course is Ben's Celestial Sapien form, Alien X. His powers are the ability to alter reality in any way he wants with no potential limits. Seriously. He can manipulate time, space, create whatever he wants, destroy whatever he wants, etc. Now, omnipotence is definitely an ability you'd want to keep in check. So Celestial Sapiens all have 3 personalities that share one body. When Ben transforms into Alien X, he becomes one of these 3 personalities. For him, there's Bellicus, the voice of rage and aggression. Serena, the voice of love and compassion. Ben takes the place as the voice of reason. And yes, each Celestial Sapien has their own unique trio of floating heads. To do anything, at least 2 of the 3 personalities must agree to execute the motion. So if you became Alien X and wanted to, say, turn someone into a fish or something, you have to debate with the personalities and convince at least one of them to agree with you that it's a good idea, and then you can do it. This could lead to a disadvantage in battle, as there are times where Ben is still debating with Bellicus and Serena Serena, so his body is completely motionless. He's still indestructible in that state though, so it doesn't exactly leave him vulnerable. It just doesn't get anything done either. There are many times where Ben has successfully used Alien X, such as his debut episode where he was able to rewind time but only in a specific spot, or in Omniverse, where he failed to stop the Annihilarch from blowing up the universe, so he just created a new one. Yup, from episode 4 of Omniverse onward, everyone and everything in the universe gets obliterated, so Alien X creates an exact duplicate. Spare for some minor changes to reality. Ben's not perfect, guys. However, Ben was actually able to bypass that and gain full control over Alien X in the episode Universe v Tennyson, where Ben is actually put on trial by all the other Celestial Sapiens for recreating the universe as it violates the Multiverse Preservation Act. Nearly losing the trial, Ben resorts to the Tetraman Trial of Combat and has to fight another Celestial Sapien. Ben convinces Bellicus and Serena to, quote, give him the keys to Alien X, and they could just float in the corner somewhere and argue all they want for eternity and Ben won't bother them. And they actually agree. So Ben, as a limitless Alien X, ends up defeating the Gladiator and is found not guilty on trial. Sort of. There's a lot more to the episode, so I would just go and watch it. And since then, Ben is able to casually use Alien X whenever he wants, for whatever reason. And it's honestly pretty awesome.
What's Benno doing up there? Sounds like a war zone.
Ben has control of Alien X.
He could trap Superman in a room made of pure kryptonite, with walls that are 50 feet thick. He could drain all of the power out of Goku until there's nothing left. He can make it so they never even existed. Or as Kevin put,
They could just blink and we'd be gone.
still not convinced? Well, Ben 10's the kind of show to give you not one, not two, but 3 alternate versions of Ben's future, where each one has their own special ability. This is because every time Ben met his future self, knowing his future would cause it to change, and because every iteration of the series wanted to make their own Ben 10,000. Because why not? It's awesome, it's creative, and it's rare where stuff like this is the norm in a TV show. So there's the first alternate future introduced in the classic series, who's simply just Ben 10,000. This one comes from a future where Ben never had to sacrifice the Omnitrix in order to stop Vilgax at the end of Alien Force, and wore the same Omnitrix throughout his entire life. This Omnitrix came with the ability to obtain DNA that was not previously in the Omnitrix, upon coming into contact with the alien. Now, it was also stated by Dwayne McDuffie that upon the Omnitrix's recalibration, it unlocked a feature we'll just call the data dump. Upon transforming into a new alien species, the Omnitrix will import the creature's basic instinct into the user's brain. So if Ben ever becomes an alien that he's never seen before, he already knows how to use it within seconds. This was shown between the first 2 seasons of Alien Force. So, Goku and Superman are both aliens. If either of them touch the Omnitrix at any point in time during the battle, Ben could scan their DNA and transform into them. With his own costume and color scheme, of course. Superman's power comes from the sun, and if Ben became a Kryptonian, both he and Superman would have the same power basis, and Ben would instantly know his moveset, being a perfect match for Superman. And hey, if anything goes wrong, Alien X. The second alternate future is where Ben 10,000 was able to utilize the Ultimate feature all the way into adulthood. Fans tend to refer to him as just Ultimate Ben. He can use the powers of any of his aliens, including their ultimate transformations, while still remaining in his human form. He is also able to scan for new alien transformations at a distance this time via a yellow supermarket checkout beam. And if you remembered how I explained ultimate transformations work, Ben could scan Goku and transform into an Ultimate Super Saiyan, making him the absolute fullest of a Saiyan's potential instantly. So, Ben could go Super Saiyan 3. Although, not Super Saiyan Red or Blue though, because of the whole ritual thing. But hey, Alien X. Also, Ultimate Ben can do magic, one of Superman's weaknesses.
You hang around at Anodite for 20 years, you pick up a few tricks.
The third alternate future has Ben equipped with a device he built using his smartest alien transformations, which he calls the Bi-Omnitrix. To give him his own identity, we'll just call him Ben 10K. Now, Ben 10K can use the Bi-Omnitrix to fuse together any 2 of his aliens for seemingly infinite transformations. His most powerful one was also his most utilized one, Atomic X, the fusion of Alien X and Atomics. So using previous knowledge, Ben can transform into a fusion of Kryptonian and Saiyan DNA, which would be pretty freaking sweet. And even if all of that didn't convince you, even if you somehow still think there's a way, there's always the fact that basically, Ben can't die. The Omnitrix has a failsafe where if Ben were ever to actually die, the Omnitrix would quickly sample through all of Ben's alien DNA and reconstruct a new body for him to inhabit.
I thought you were... Nah,
I always figured the Omnitrix had a failsafe that wouldn't let me die, and sure enough, it kicked in right when the Big Bang started.
Also, here's a picture of Ben holding an explosion the size of an entire universe in his hands. But if Ben really is all that powerful, why doesn't he ever do anything with it? Well, in the end, Ben's a human. He can be impulsive, make mistakes, and takes advantage of his powers recreationally whenever he gets a chance. But his morals are very strong. It may be cliche, but all he ever really cares about is doing what's right.
What's it gonna be this time? Humongosaur?
Nah, Humongo's too close to what I'll be fighting. Gotta figure that thing's had a lot more experience being a dragon than I have.
Thinking it through, huh?
And according to him, there's always more than one way of getting something done.
Your friendship aside, the only responsible move is to take him down with all necessary force.
Then I don't understand why you're talking to me.
It's a logical move. It's the safest move. It's the sensible move.
But
it's not the Ben move. You trust people. You give them second chances, and they live up to your expectations.
No! Stop hurting them!
This is a battle. We do what we must to survive.
These are human beings, Michael. They're under alien control. We take them down, not out. Understand?
At the end of Ultimate Alien, Ben contained the Dagon's power inside of Ascalon, a reality-altering sword, and along with the Ultimatrix, he was basically already all-powerful, even without Alien X. But all he did was turn every human back to normal and then gave it all up. He doesn't need all of that power to save the world, and he knows it's not his place to misuse it.
As usual, you don't understand. You have proved your worth, but this inferior copy of my Omnitrix isn't worthy of you.
That's why even with a limitless Alien X, he will still rarely ever become him. And if he ever does, he'll never do anything more drastic than the situation calls for. Mutually, it's the same reason why Superman chooses to help and protect everyone instead of
totally ruling them like a god.
Or why Goku always wants to fight people at their strongest. Hell, he even gave Cell a senzu bean.
Cell's used up a lot of his energy. It's only fair to let him fight Gohan at full strength, don't you think?
What? Do you hear yourself talk?
Ben Tennyson is the most powerful being in his universe, but it's his humanity that makes him worthy of all of that power.
I don't know how to thank you.
Keep doing the right thing.
But where does that leave Ben now? I mean, surely after spending a decade building up all of that continuity, the next series Ben would finally be able to use all of his potential instead of just, I don't know, rebooting everything and starting from the beginning, right? Oh. Alternatively, if you'd like to see what I believe would have happened if they chose to keep going, you can check out my webcomic 5 years later, a crossover series with Danny Phantom where we finally get to see Ben at his absolute prime before transcending into Ben 10,000. It features character designs by the amazing Insane Dude 24, whose artwork you'll probably recognize if you're an active Ben 10 fan. You can also help support future projects by checking out my design shop, where every 2 weeks we update the store based on your suggestions. If you'd like to request a design, click the link below if you're watching this on YouTube, or to the right or above if you're watching this on Facebook. And if enough people vote for your suggestion, I'll sketch it up and make it available for purchase on a shirt, phone case, sticker, whatever you want. Thanks for checking out my debut episode of Tracing the Border. I'm Kuro the Artist, and as always, keep it fizzy.